Hey, welcome back to another episode of It's a Football Thing. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. We are in for a special evening tonight. We have our regular co-hosts, Scott the Gooner and Rob the Red Devil, but we are going to have a little bit of a deep dive. So I hope you've got your floating devices on or know how to swim, because we're going to get real up and close with Newcastle United. Passionate fan, runs a great channel. Paul from the Toon Review, I'll go to you first. How are you, champion?
I'm good. How are you guys?
Brilliant.
Mate,
Very well.
doing well. Absolutely pumped. I'm going to apologise in advance because I can hear from my little window here. My neighbours sound like there's World War VIII going on. Three young fellas. So if you hear some background noise, they're probably just celebrating Arsenal's poor result over the weekend. Robbie, how are you going? That's good. That's a good start. We've lost Robbie.
You know what? He's a United fan. I thought he would have been a little bit more enthusiastic after that 5-meter offside goal from Rashford.
Yeah, exactly.
Stir him up, of course. But look, just from our perspective as the viewer that's tuning in, we've obviously got Paul to give us his expert insight into Newcastle from a ownership angle. Obviously, a lot of change happening there. The current status quo, and of course, looking ahead, more importantly, both in terms of personnel changes and what their ambitions are for the short, medium, and long term. And of course, we'll get to all of the key results that have happened over the previous match day and talk about all the sweet topical things as we draw to a conclusion in the January transfer window. Robbie, we lost you for a brief moment. We thought you were reconstructing the VAR lines to make sure Cavani was definitely onside.
Nah, look, I couldn't hear Scott. So, Scott, can you talk for a sec just to check?
Yeah, mate. You look lovely.
Good. Yeah, I could hear everyone but you. So I thought I'd just drop in and come back in. All good to go. And yes, those lines are parallel as main. He was definitely onside.
Love it. All right. Well, let's kick this off. I just want to quickly say hi to some of the champions in the live chat. We've got Emad here. We've got Tom here. We've got Declared. We've got Ian. We've got Marty. We've got Alex. All here, boys. Thanks for joining us tonight. And I'm hoping there are some Geordies in the chat. If you're new, please make sure you like the video, subscribe. We are trying to grow this up to 500. Paul, we're going to start with you because I know I tuned into your stream this morning and I was hooked. It was a brilliant live stream. Can you just tell the live chat where they can find you? And the details are in the description as well. But give yourself a plug, Paul.
Yeah, it's just the Toon Review on YouTube, the same on Twitter and Facebook. It's just mainly about Newcastle United. Obviously, I do sort of watch along sometimes, fan forums, transfer shows, all that good stuff. Some are recorded, but I've started doing a lot more live shows now, which people tend to enjoy more. So, yeah, it's certainly busy during transfer windows and things like that. But with Newcastle, it's a never-ending story, I'm afraid. Mostly on the downside, but we've had a decent sort of back end of 2021, put it that way. So happy times are hopefully coming back.
Yeah, Paul. Well, speaking of some happy times and perhaps some not so happy times, you've been a long-term Toon fan now. You've been there, I don't know how many years now. You told us offline that you go to most games, which is an absolute blessing for us here down under, which is only a mere dream.
Yeah.
But give us a bit of a walkthrough, a bit of an insight as to what was the mood, you'd say, just the period leading up to the change of ownership? Because obviously there's a lot of turmoil and a lot of uncertainty. But talk us through just what were the moments like leading up to the change of ownership. And then once that big announcement took place, did you get a sudden vibe change or is it a bit more of a slow burner? So just talk us through that, Paul.
Well, I mean, leading up to the takeover, the whole thing was flat. I remember we played Wolves away and we lost that game 2-1, which it was just a dreadful all-round performance. I remember doing a fan forum a couple of days later, and the whole thing was just flat. We did the fan forum on the Tuesday night. All the supporters were just thinking, right, we're relegated. There's no hope at this club. We were having to go through court cases with the takeover, but not long before that, we had the cat case, which was streamed out live, which got thousands and thousands of Newcastle fans watching, and it got everybody's attention. Now, Now, things were said during that cat case, live online and behind the scenes when they didn't broadcast. Now, whatever had happened in that cat case, I think the Premier League didn't want to come out into the limelight, the stuff that was said behind the scenes. But we didn't have any idea that it was going to happen. It was just doom and gloom. Nobody, I mean, the stadium was run down. Mike Ashley had used it as a cash cow for many, many years. All you could see across the ground was Sports Direct everywhere. And, there wasn't any communication came out from the club. Everything was just flat. And we couldn't see a way out. And then, as I said, did the fan forum on the Tuesday night. And then on the Wednesday, there was starting to get sort of rumblings of something was happening behind the scenes with regards to the takeover. The Saudis had agreed, or something had been settled with piracy issues in Saudi and Qatar. And then about an hour after that came out, it was said that the takeover was happening, and it just went absolutely crazy. And I did a live stream on the Wednesday night, which got people from all over the world watching. There was loads of people from Saudi came on, and we were just genuinely excited. The buzz was unbelievable. We stayed online for about 3 hours because we couldn't believe that it was happening. And then all the mainstream media started reporting it, and that's when it got serious. And we thought, this is actually going to happen here, which was still in the back of our minds. We've heard it before. Let's not get carried away and things like that. But it just started snowballing. And then on the Thursday, everybody said that it was going to happen. Amanda Staveley, etc., were in Newcastle. Everything was being sorted out behind the scenes. But time still went on. And it got to sort of 4:00 in the afternoon and nothing had been said. And then all of a sudden, tweets came out from all the new owners saying it's done. Congratulations, Newcastle United. You're in new hands. And it just went ballistic. It went crazy. Thousands of fans ended up at the ground. I really wanted to go, but the kids were a bit worried, seeing as all the, let's just say a lot of people had a good drink by then. So the atmosphere outside the ground was brilliant. I then went on live again with a few other people. It went crazy on there. It was just, from the Wolves game to that point, it was just like a roller coaster, and it was still hard to believe it had happened, even though we saw sort of Amanda and her husband hugging Newcastle United fans and saying it was all done. We couldn't quite believe it. I've never felt a euphoria like that before. And I went to the ground with a friend of mine just on the Friday, and it just happened to be, when we're expecting a freezing cold day, and it was lovely, it was sunny, it was warm. And we went to the ground, and, it wasn't the same amount of people there, but the euphoria, you could feel it. And we stayed there for most of the day, just sucking up the atmosphere, because it was hard to believe, looking at the stadium and how sort of depleted it was and run down, and nobody had given a damn about it, to sort of being the richest football club in the world. It just didn't sink in. But for Newcastle fans, it was absolute euphoria, because we'd had 14 years of nothing, of just a cancer on the club basically, and he'd gone, and it had freed Newcastle all of a sudden to become one of the big players again. And I think a lot of people in the mainstream media sort of got carried away with sort of human rights issues and things like that, when really that should stick to politics. It's not our place. And then obviously seeing our Newcastle fans expect to sign Mbappe and all of these players, within a few months. We're not like that at all. All we wanted was Mike Ashley out and just a little bit of ambition. And now we have that. We know it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, but the excitement is there. Whenever we say, we've lost again, or we didn't play very well there, we know that in time that is going to get better. So it's just euphoric. And it really sort of didn't sink in for quite some time. It still hasn't, to be honest. I mean, Steve Bruce was still there. We had to get rid of him. He's gone, and everything to do with Mike Ashley slowly disappeared over the next few weeks, and it was incredible.
Incredible. I don't know, like Robbie's got some questions about your current season ambitions, but just hearing that, and in a similar way, obviously being a Chelsea fan, wind the clock back 20 odd years ago, and all of a sudden we've gone from a very competitive team battling for trophies, but not at the elite highest order. But just to hear your experience as being under coalface and the journey of one moment it's all uncertainty, the club's very stagnant, not going anywhere, proud club, but aren't really making any waves, to all of a sudden now joining the dining table with all the other elite clubs soon enough. So, yeah, no, it's very interesting to hear. But, Robbie, I believe you're going to transition us to the current day.
Before Robbie kicks off, sorry, Robbie, just want to say, amazing to see so many Geordies, Newcastle fans in the live chat. Please make sure you take the opportunity as well to like and subscribe. It really helps us to grow our platform too. And on this show, we're always talking about all things Premier League. It's not just Chelsea, Arsenal, United. Newcastle are a very hot topic of conversation on this show. So please make sure you sub while you're here.
And your new team too, Scotty, in about a year's time, right? Newcastle, that should be your new team, right? So,
maybe they've got more ambition than the Arsenal at the moment. But let's jump over to you, Robbie.
Yeah, Paul. Look, I just love to hear the talk about the right now. Just your thoughts on the appointment of Eddie Howe. Do you think you'll avoid the drop this season? Some of the ins you've obviously bought in the last few weeks, and maybe some that are possibly coming in. Just what are your thoughts on all that kind of stuff?
Eddie Howe was, a lot of people before the actual takeover happened who were wanting Steve Bruce out were wanting Eddie Howe in before the takeover. I think once the takeover happened, a lot of fans sort of, lost their heads a little bit and were expecting sort of world-class managers through the door straight away. But listen, Eddie Howe came in and he's done so many good things behind the scenes already. He's certainly improved the training. Under Steve Bruce, they were only training 2.5 days a week. The fitness was abysmal. That was addressed straight away. He put them through a really strong fitness regime, which you can see on the pitch. They're a lot fitter now. So Eddie Howe for me was a great appointment. He came with a lot of. I got a few Bournemouth fans on my shows just talking about Eddie Howe and what he was like, and it was all good stuff. He's still very much loved there because of his work ethic and the way he went about his business, his work ethic, etc. was all brilliant, and that's been the case at Newcastle. He's already transformed a couple of players. Joe Linton for one was. God, I never thought I'd hear or see the day that we were upset that Joe Linton went off the pitch injured. Get to go off at the weekend, and he's just been an unbelievable transition. He's moved into midfield, and he's a different football player. John Joe Shelvey seems to have a new lease of life, but he's always going to split opinion, I should say, on him. But I think this season is mainly surviving. It's got to be. We're certainly not looking at any further than just survival. 14 years of neglect of this football club and the squad itself is really coming to fruition now. So Eddie Howe has walked into an absolute minefield, to be honest. He really has. So have the new owners. And I think people need to realise that there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes needed addressing, needed changing very, very quickly. And I think that's why some fans have become a little bit impatient. And the signing of Kieran Trippier was a brilliant statement from us to be able to attract an international player like Kieran Trippier. Fantastic. The games he's played, he's looked a level better than what we have in the squad, and definitely a future captain, undoubtedly in my eyes. The Chris Wood one is a bit strange. I'm yet to be sold on him, if I'm honest. I haven't seen anything really that says to me that he's going to bag the goals that we need. I think that signing was more to upset the apple cart at Burnley more than anything else. It's taken their main striker away from a relegation rival. Who knows? I mean, he may come good, once he's had a few weeks with the squad and settled in a bit more. But I haven't been that impressed in the first couple of games. But again, it's a new team, it's a new system that he's trying to move into. But the signings that are sort of linked with us now are incredible, to be honest. I mean, we laughed at last summer. We were in for a loan deal for Chowdhury at Leicester, and who was basically a second team player at Leicester, and now we're bidding sort of £46 million for players. It's bizarre, absolutely bizarre. But I think definitely is survival is the key.
Paul, can I ask you a question here? And well, it's not my question. It's come from one of our loyal listeners, Declared. Are you expecting any more signings before this window closes? I know, speaking as an Arsenal fan,
yeah,
it's looking like it's very quiet for us. It seems quite quiet across the league. But are you thinking that Newcastle will sense that you're in a tumultuous position near the bottom, a place you don't want to be, and get some business done? Because I have to admit, Robbie and I always have this debate about Newcastle. I thought you were going to go into January gun-ho and sign some of those fringe players from other squads that are good enough to keep you away from relegation, for example, like your Barclays or your Dele Allis or players like that. But
yeah,
it hasn't happened. Are you expecting any signings?
Yes, I think it's going to be a very busy week for us this week, to be honest. What I think we got a sort of glimpse of reality really during the transfer window, because Amanda Staveley had an interview before the window opened, said that they'd been preparing ever since the takeover for this window. She says they know that the prices get slightly inflated and things like that. In January, it's very difficult to attract players given the league position we're in. However, I think we kind of think now, just what you've just said there about the players that came in, maybe we should just be targeting players that can get us out of the relegation zone and then move forward in the summer. What we have found is that clubs have seen Newcastle knock on the door and think, ding, ding, dollar signs in front of their eyes kind of thing. And it's, it's good that they're not just paying anything in my eyes. They're just, some players have been bumped up 15, 20 million quid. That's not going to happen. These guys haven't got to where they are because they've been fleeced. You know what I mean? They have a certain amount of money they'll go to, and then they'll draw the line and say, look, take it or leave it. And I'm happy that they're doing that, because if we go to a team and say, right, we're going to pay £20 million over what he's worth, then that gives a precedent for other teams in the future windows to say, oh, well, Newcastle come knocking, we'll just bump the prices up all the time. It doesn't work like that. And that's why I'm backing the new owners when they take a stance like they did with Lille in France over Botman. They said, right, there's the final price, take it or leave it. And they're doing the same with Carlos in a way. But I expect Lingard to come. I expect him to sign either tomorrow or Thursday. Carlos, we have representatives in Spain as we speak, sorting that deal out. So I expect that one to happen as well. Dele Alli has been mentioned, but that's in early stages at the minute, and a lot of Newcastle fans aren't really sure about that one, to be honest.
Well, our Spurs listeners,
yeah,
we've got Martin and Alex, who are regular Spurs listeners. They're pushing that. They would love you to sign Dele Alli. I actually think he could be one of those players that turns around.
Yeah, I agree.
If he came there. And I know another one you've been linked to, and maybe Rob, just give us a couple of words on this guy, Jesse Lingard. How do you think he'd go at Newcastle, Robbie?
Look, I think he would be a good addition to any team, as we've seen when he had his little stint last year at West Ham. From a United front, like I said, Tom was saying this previously on his show. I think it's a weird deal for a loan to send him out. He's at the end of his contract and the end of the season, to send him on a loan for 6 months and then lose him for free at the end of the year. It sounds a bit weird, but look, he's not getting game time, and if his ambitions to be in the World Cup squad next year, he wants game time, and if Newcastle are going to offer him that, fair enough. I still think there could be West Ham could come in late for him still at the late stages. But look, I was also going to ask you quickly that, Paul, with the transfers, you said should be busy in the last week. Do you think there'll be more loan deals for that reason, and because there'll be a lot more clauses in, if you were to get the drop, a lot of players wouldn't want to stay for that? Or is it in jeopardy of signing players on a permanent, and then you do get in the drop and having massive wages, or players wanting to leave, or obviously not building for the future with certain players just to stay up, or certain players to possibly have to come back up from the Championship?
Well, I think with regards to Lingard, Man United, I think, have accepted that they're going to lose him in the summer anyway. I think that's inevitable. But they're talking of a loan fee of around £3 to £4 million, which I can understand Man United taking, because then at least they're getting something back for Lingard, even when they lose him in the summer. He could become an absolute legend up here if he wanted to. And we're hopeful that if he does come on loan, He can see the fan base. He can see what it's like to play for Newcastle United. We can sell him the club while he's here and maybe look to something permanent. With regard to loan deals, I think the case of Botman and certain other players, Newcastle have said, right, there's the amount of money, take it or leave it. They're not really interested in a loan. Because what we think is the likes of Lille, for example, who have no money. The French league is struggling at the minute because of the pandemic, etc. They don't have any money. So it's, for me, Lille are digging the heels in until they really have to. So we think in the Botman may be a deal that goes through on deadline day, because Lille will turn around and say, we really can't refuse this money. We really need it. And is Botman going to be worth this in a few years? Injuries could happen, etc. They might not get the same amount of money. So we think that certain teams that have dug the heels in now will then say, right, we really can't take the risk of not having this money, so we'll let him go. So I think deadline day is going to be very busy, which is a very strange thing for Newcastle United fans because we've never been involved in deadline day for years. But now we have an opportunity to be in there. I think loan deals such as Dele Alli, possibly Lingard, and maybe a loan for another striker, because we seem to be linked with everybody at the minute. But Zapata from Atalanta in Italy seems to be gaining traction as well for a permanent deal as well.
Paul,
So
if you have a spare 100 million, there's someone from London that's very capable that I'm sure you'd like to take. Very, very good player. He's a champion from the Serie A. He's a very good player, Paul. So if you've got the money,
who would that be?
Just some champion winning from Serie A. Doesn't matter about his Premier League status. Exactly.
Chelsea's love child.
Yeah, I mean, we were linked with Aubameyang as well. As you know, I mean, we were linked with him.
I think it'll happen. I think.
Do you really?
Happen. Yep.
I think Aubameyang would be a good deal. I think that'll be a good deal.
Yeah,
if you
I do as well. I mean, there's a lot of Newcastle fans talking about his off-the-field antics and saying that, you know, is his attitude going to be right? But listen, 6-month loan, there's nothing to lose. I think Aubameyang would want to prove a point to a lot of people as well. But it's interesting because we know that there's a Saudi Arabian team interested in him as well. But would the Saudi Arabian team go against Newcastle United, given the ownership? I'm not so sure. So it'd be interesting to see what happens. But I mean, you know, it's strange for us to be linked with such high-class players. You know, we're not used to it. We're really not. Like, if somebody mentioned Zapata coming to Newcastle, I mean, you know, a few months ago, we'd have laughed at them, but not now.
For me, Paul, it's been onwards and upwards ever since you guys signed Santiago Muñoz. He did well before going to Real Madrid. So,
you know what it is? If that wasn't this signing we brought in, who was, Munoz or whatever his name is. I mean, we've never seen the bloke.
I've seen him in the movie.
Yeah, but not. I mean, the one we signed in real life, he's never been seen. I don't know where he is. Apparently, he's injured. I mean, how he's injured because he's never played a game, not even for the under-23s. So, listen, that was a Mike Ashley signing, and that was just to take the mickey out of the Newcastle fans, I think, more than anything.
Paul, I want to ask you a little bit about the future, obviously, and your long-term status. But there's a couple of questions from the live chat, which is pumping tonight. Paul, we got much loved from the Down Under fans down here. Please make sure before I give these questions to Paul, if you are new to the channel, leave a like on the video, subscribe. Doesn't cost you anything. You get access to this brilliant content every week. We've got John Joe Shelby over here on my side. We've even bought you John Joe, Newcastle fans. So if that's not worth subscribing, I'm not quite sure what is. John Joe Shelby in the flesh, but in the wrong kit. This question.
I'm trying to work out who Rob looks like because he looks like I can't believe
a little bit like Andy Carroll.
He's got a bit of
Jesus, don't say that.
No, he's got a bit of Sergio Ramos about him, I think, as well.
I'll take the Ramos. Got the hair.
Yeah.
Rob's haircut is one of the more questionable things on this show, but what's not questionable is this from Tom, and Tom runs the United Pubcast. They're a brilliant Man United channel from down under here, and this is his question for you, Paul. He says, has there been any communication from the club as to what happens if Newcastle go down? Money won't necessarily guarantee you bounce up, and it's an odd situation. I personally don't think you're going down, but has there been any communication at all?
Not at the minute. I think behind the scenes there will be a contingency plan if we do get relegated. obviously, when the new owners took over the club, we were where we are anyway. So I think that had to come into the reckoning. So there will be a contingency plan. I've absolutely no doubt about that. But I'm like you. I don't think we will go down. I think there's a sudden pickup in form. I mean, the results haven't sort of had that magnificent bounce into Eddie Howe's been in, but as a lot of people say over here, you can't polish a turd overnight. So it's very, very difficult for us. But I'm hopeful now that things are starting to change. But there will be something in the background. I've no doubt about it. But hopefully we don't have to get to that point.
Paul, I want to put this one to you from Emad as well. I know Emad made his YouTube video debut during the week as well. So congratulations to you, man. You did a great job. Another Man United fan, but a valid question. There was a lot of talk about the sacking of Steve Bruce. Mm-hmm. And Emad's asked, why was Brucey, who's a Geordie, so disrespected, but someone like Rafa was so respected? And obviously you would know, we all know that Newcastle meant a lot to Steve Bruce, but do you think there's any kind of point to this that Brucey maybe didn't get the treatment that Rafa got, or do you think it's all about the results and there's no room necessarily for sentiment?
Well, first of all, Steve Bruce is a Manchester United fan. He's not a Newcastle fan. He said it on many times before he became Newcastle United manager, who his team was in the Sky Sports studio, things like that. He's always said that he's a Red. Now, Steve Bruce, when he came to the club, again, this is a thing about ambition at Newcastle United under Mike Ashley. Steve Bruce had the worst record in the Premier League as a manager. The win ratio was abysmal. So even when he took the job, there was a lot of worry from the Newcastle side of things that he wasn't the man to take the club forward. He didn't get the fans. He didn't interact with the fans. If anything, he kept having to go at the fans. His son had many things to say on social media about the Newcastle fans. That obviously caused an issue straight away as well. I think the fact that, so many games were played behind closed doors, Steve Bruce was able to get away with, a lot of things that he said in press conferences against the fans. He had to go at us. We had to go at him. There was never a relationship between Steve Bruce and the Newcastle United fans at all. And the fact that the football was absolutely horrendous, playing players out of position constantly, square pegs in round holes. We could all see that it didn't work. The training methods that Steve Bruce had, as I said before, 2.5 to 3 days a week training, they were just unfit. We could see that in pre-season this season when I went to some away games in pre-season. They just did not look ready for the start of the season. And that proved right. They weren't. And there's been numerous players come out since he's left to explain that the team just wasn't fit. The trainer, Callum Wilson, used to go to a private gym to try and get some more training in. That's how bad it was. And this is supposed to be a Premier League football team. It's ridiculous. And Rafa on the other side, Rafa did a lot in the community with the fans. He had that connection with the fans. When he was manager, the football wasn't great, but we were a lot more organised. Rafa wanted a project. He wanted to bring Newcastle back to where we feel we belong. Unfortunately, because of the ownership, that didn't happen. But it was just the connection with the fans Rafa had, the stuff he did in the community. The fact that he stayed when we went down, he got us straight back up. There was a connection. So unfortunately for Steve Bruce, it was never, ever there.
Paul, we know it's cutthroat at the bottom of the league.
Yeah.
And this is a question from Declared, one of our regular listeners. If Eddie Howe was sacked, let's just say things got worse. We know what it's like. Relegation started looking serious, and you sacked him. Mm-hmm. Would Rafa's name be the first one on that list in your mind? Or no. I've even seen people, Paul, and I saw in the live chat on your stream this morning, some people who were saying, they'd take Rafa back now. Just quickly, would you take him back now, and is he the first name on your list?
No. Simple terms, no. And I've made my feelings known on this. Rafa's not the man we turn to now. Rafa's part of the past. Yes, he did a great job when he was here, but he's not the man to take us forward anymore. I think a young, hungry manager like Eddie Howe, even if we do get relegated, I think will keep his job. And I think he'll be given time to get his own players in. That's the problem with some of our fan base. They're too quick to react. They don't give people time. Eddie Howe has got a squad that has been, as I say, just completely wrecked over 14 years. And he's trying to build something up again. And we have to give him time for that. Rafa's not the man.
Well said, and you'd know better than we would on that point. I want to talk to you a little bit now about the future. Again, thank you to everyone in the live chat. It's great to see so many of you here. Please like and subscribe. Really helps us grow. We are on the road to 500 subs, and we're getting very close. We're about 20 away, so we'd love some help from the passionate Geordies there. Let's talk the future, though, Paul. We obviously, being an Arsenal, Chelsea, United fan, we see ourselves as part of that big six. We would consider ourselves the big clubs. You've got your Man Cities and Liverpools.
Scott is an Arsenal fan. Really?
I'm glad you asked, Paul. I was grinning like the Joker, but I'm glad you pulled it out. He meant the top 16, Paul. That's what
no offense, man, but top six Arsenal, the big six now?
No one sells better kits than we do. We're the champions of kits. No, in all seriousness, we saw it happen with Man City, right? We're all old enough to have seen the Man City journey. It didn't happen overnight, but they climbed and climbed and climbed, and now they are a juggernaut of not just domestic football, but world football. Despite the fact they haven't won that Champions League yet, I feel their pain. But how long do you think it is till Newcastle are being mentioned as fighting for those, European spots? Do you think it's something we'll see in the next couple of years? Do you think that if you survive in the league, your owners will go hard for it in the summer? Or do you think this is going to be a slow build?
Well, we always said, at the start of the takeover, discussing it, we always said that, as long as there's progress, we haven't seen that for so many years. As long as there's I've just seen a comment there saying, "Am I in my pajamas?" No, I'm in a Nike t-shirt. Bloody hell, man. So yeah, it's I think over the next, I would say 5 to 6 years. I think I don't want us to just, go all out. Man City did it the right way. They built slowly. They made it. I think Robinho was the first marquee signing that they made. But they also got other players in, not world-class players, but decent players, and built the squad up that way. And we'd be happy to see that happen at Newcastle. For us, just seeing ambition is a completely new thing on us. And a lot of the younger fans who've only known Mike Ashley's reign haven't seen any ambition. So for us, it's different. So I'd say, yeah, it's same as Man City, really. Just build up slowly. There's no rush. That's a certainty. But as long as we survive this season, then I can see sort of, maybe it's within 3 years challenging for league title, cups, and then sort of 2 to 3 years on from that, being a major player in the Champions League and things like that. But again, I'm happy just to see us make progress and then build it up over the years.
Paul, for a man in his pajamas, you shouldn't be grumpy, hey?
Yeah, exactly. Grumpy. I'm not grumpy at all. Never, ever.
Hey, RJ, what do you think about this? Because obviously, we know Chelsea practically didn't exist as a club pre-Abramovich. He
was just waiting for a slog was at a top 6 comment.
Look, on this channel, someone has to stir the pot, and it's normally me, except when Arsenal lose, I'm very quiet. So it was a quiet start to the year. But what do you think about this comment from Crazy Tom? And he's saying to Newcastle and Newcastle fans, don't look too far. Stay in the league first, and they'll get there eventually. For you, RJ, as a fan, and in all seriousness, Chelsea had a meteoric rise as well. Do you think it's about taking your time, or do you see these owners going hard to build quickly?
Well, they're chalk and cheese scenarios. The commonality is that we got a large foreign owner to come in and ruffle a few feathers and change the foundations. But the reality is, what Newcastle's new owners are working with versus what we were working with are totally different. You've got the financial fair play, old chestnut dangling over everybody, so they can't just come in and make monumental waves up front. But also, like I said, Chelsea's starting position was a lot better than Newcastle's starting position. They are in need of major surgical repair. Sorry, Paul, but just calling it likely and being objective as I can, whereas Chelsea needed a few additions and a bit of minor surgery to convert them from pretenders to contenders. I do think, though, that comment is sensible. It's about, and Paul said it, it's about steady progress. As long as progress is being made, the elephant in the room is you can't get relegated, even though contingency plans are in place. That significantly, I'd say, would delay that 5 to 6 year umbrella. But interestingly, I would say, Paul, and connected to that, buying these class players is being unfamiliar with Newcastle's academy and any young prospects they have. Do you think, because you've seen the success that Cobham has had with Chelsea, and from my point of view, we've made a few bad business decisions with not picking some of them earlier. Do you foreshadow an instance where you make all of these rush signings to try to help you in the short term, but might have medium to long-term consequences because some of your academy products might decide to pick up and leave because they don't see a future there? Do you have any concerns about that?
Not at the moment, because the whole academy needs a complete rehaul, a complete overhaul, a complete rebuild. I'm not too concerned at that. We have a couple of kids that are on the bench at the minute. One of them who's just been sent on loan to Luton Town, Elliot Anderson, he's got a big future, I think. But the whole academy needs rebuilding. It needs, the training ground needs knocking down, rebuild. Everything just needs a restart from basically scratch.
Right.
So from what the owners are saying, the women's football team, the academy, everything is going to be overhauled and treated in a very professional manner, just like the first team. So if anything, I'm excited about what the academy can become in the next few years. And I think we will bring players in. I know that, obviously Chelsea gets a lot of flack sometimes for sort of loaning out, 20, 30 players every season. But I don't think that necessarily harms the players because those kids are getting first team football where they go. But I think with regards to Newcastle, from what the owners are saying, that they want to develop the academy and start bringing players through into the first team. But again, only time will tell on that, I guess.
Yeah, it's really promising, Paul. Sorry, Scott.
Yeah. No, you're right. Paul, I want to ask you, before we kind of wrap up the deep dive segment of the show, I want to ask you about a player who intrigues me at Newcastle, someone who I love watching play. We speak about him on this show regularly. I think you know who I'm about to say. ASM, Saint-Maximin. Now, to me, he is a flair player. He's an exciting player. But I know that he can also be a player that divides the fan base a little bit. You've got, and this is my perspective as an outsider, what I've noticed. You have every right to tell me if I've missed the mark, but it seems like half the fan base find him really frustrating and seem to think that he tries to do too much himself. And then there's the other half who seem to be in that boat of he's only frustrating and trying to do it all himself because of the players around him. Where do you sit on ASM?
Look, he's got the potential to become a very, very, very good footballer. He's a brilliant dribbler. He's fantastic to watch. But like you said, he's one of those flair players that will infuriate you because he scored some very important goals this season, undoubtedly. But you see him for 5 minutes doing all his fancy footwork, and then by about the hour mark, he's shattered and he's away out the game. Sometimes I think he's made of glass. When he gets tackled, he seems to roll around, and a lot of fans think it's all, he's very much, it's all about me. I'm the main man. And I think to a degree, that's how Steve Bruce used to treat him. It was always just give the ball to Maxi and he'll take it. He'll take everybody on and win the game for us. But he is very, very frustrating because he's very similar to Traore at Wolves, whereas he can beat the whole team, but his final product isn't quite there. Because if he does get a final product, that's when he takes the next step to becoming a very, very good footballer. Because you have to ask yourself at the minute, if he was that good, why isn't he getting any attention in the transfer window? And why is he not even getting near the international side of things? You know, if he was that good of a player, why are France not looking to bring him in? But hopefully that will come, and hopefully Eddie will work on him on the training pitch like they have with Joe Linton, for example, and try and get that final part of his game right. But at the minute, he played better on Saturday, but there's still that thing where people are working him out now, where he gets it on the left, he'll run across the 18-yard box and try and fire in a shot. There was an instance on Saturday when he could have just rolled the ball up to Ryan Fraser very early on in the second half, but he didn't. He shot. Ryan Fraser went crazy with him. And Alan Shearer's, I was listening to him on the radio a week ago when I was on the way to one of the games, and Alan Shearer was saying if he was on the pitch with Saint-Maximin, he would be absolutely going mental, pulling what hair he has left out of his head, because he's so frustrating. When he's got the opportunity to cross the ball, he doesn't. He cuts back again and then does another cut. And I've quoted him as being like Michael Jackson. He gets the ball, and then when he's about to there you go. When he's about to get the ball, he suddenly start hearing Michael Jackson songs in his head, and he'll start sort of doing the Michael Jackson dances over the top of the football. And you think, just cross the ball, because when he does do it, sometimes Callum Wilson scored a few headers from his crosses, but he just needs to realize that you don't have to beat 6 or 7 men every time you've got the ball. Just lay it off easy sometimes, and sometimes that'll have more fruition than it will trying to take 6 players on. But he's got the potential's there.
You're bang on. And look, it's for me, and I know the guys would feel the same, it's been fascinating to have this time with you to deep dive into Newcastle, because they are a really intriguing club. You don't necessarily meet people in many Premier League circles who hate Newcastle. Everyone seems to have just a tiny bit of a soft spot. I know Robbie's a bit harsh on Newcastle very often. Him and I have been arguing about relegation. Rob's adamant, and I ask him every week, are Newcastle still going down? Always the same answer, Rob, they're still going down?
Yep, they are, mate. And look, and it's not to piss anyone off. It's just, that's my honest opinion from the takeover. Again, we had this conversation before. Scotty came out and said they're going to spend 300 million in the transfer window. I said, look, I'm glad you guys have got the new owners, but I honestly think it's just going to be a very slow burner. I think that
it could change in a week's time, but hey, Rob, if they do get a lot of
activity, it could, but it couldn't. Like I said,
it's very strange for us to hear a Man United fan say that. It's so fascinating to know that even the Man United fans in Australia, as bad as the ones over here, they just hate Newcastle. And I don't know why it is, but we hate them. Not that I hate you, Rob, obviously.
That's fine.
The club itself. Some Man United fans we really don't like, but some of them I get on great with, and I think that's the fact at every club. But Man United seem to have this thing stuck in the throat about Newcastle United that one day we are going to overpass their fantastic theatre of dreams and start becoming the big player. And I don't think Man United have accepted that as well as other clubs have.
They're scared. They're scared, mate. Look at him.
Oh, they're terrified. Absolutely terrified. Yeah, they are.
Give it to him. Feel free.
For us. No, look, that's just my personal opinion. I honestly do think you guys could possibly get the job. If you do avoid it, I think it'll be, you guys will be 16th or just make it. I had a quick look today from the rest of the season's fixtures for Newcastle, and if you look at it on paper, there's not a lot of games you could sit there and say, I can see them winning this game. Possibly a few draws, but there's quite a lot, like Leicester away, there's Wolves away. There's no easy games in there. I think you've got maybe the one game against Norwich, which obviously is going to be a real relegation battle. But besides that, you've got quite a few of the big 6 to come as well. So
we've got Burnley on the last day. That could be
exactly.
Be absolute.
And everyone's looking at it now. Burnley still have 5 games up their sleeve. Okay, everyone's getting excited that Norwich is out of there. But like I said, they've played most of their games. There's quite a few beneath them that have got games in hand, you guys included. But like I said, I went through those fixtures today, and there's not a lot that I can say. There's 3 points there, there's 3 points there, there's 3 points there. I said, I
don't think you can say that with any team, though, Rob, at the moment,
100%.
even the top end of town. And we're comparing that fixture list based on the team that's currently there. If Paul led us to believe that they're going to be very busy, 2-3 players, that changes the outlook drastically.
Yeah, I think that's what we've all been saying over here as well. You know, we will sort of, this time next week, we can then take a look and see what squad we have to see if we have a realistic opportunity to get out of relegation. Because I agree at the minute, Rob. I think if our team squad is the same now, and we don't get any more players in, we are going down. There is no doubt about it that these players aren't good enough to keep us up with the games we've got, to play. But I think it will be a sort of much more of a realistic marker by sort of this time next week when the window is closed and we see who we've actually brought in, as to say whether we are staying up or not, we have a realistic chance of staying up. I personally think we will finish around 14th again this season. I genuinely think that, but I'm basing that on getting a few more players in, because I think, like I said, if we stay with the squad we've got now, we will go down.
Yeah, and I agree with you on the whole busyness. I can see players coming in, but as a comment come up before, Everton spent 300 million. Us United, we've spent billions of dollars, and if it's not the right players as well, a perfect example of Everton, millions and millions of dollars, definitely. And they haven't moved anywhere. And they're supposed to be this team that's going to be the new stadium. We're going to be a European top 6 team as well. I just think they're more in front of Newcastle at the moment. Yes, you guys got the money back in, but it's all got to do with who's the brains at the top and which players come in.
Yeah, we've got to be sensible, and we've got to get the right players in, and they have to gel. That's the thing about the transfer window in January. It is always a risk no matter who you bring in, because they haven't got that pre-season to get used to the teammates. They've got to hit the ground running. And that is especially important given the position we're in now. They have to simply hit the ground running. They can't have 6 or 7 games to get used to the Premier League or anything like that. They've got to start straight away. And that's the difficult thing in January.
Bang on. Look, guys, this time has flown. I don't even know where the last 47 minutes have gone, but I know that I've enjoyed every second of them. Live chat is pumping, absolutely pumping. Newcastle fans, I'm so happy you're here and you're putting the boot into Robbie. No, we love Robbie. He's very balanced. But please, just before we move to the next section of the show, chuck a like on the video. Click that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything, but makes a huge deal to us. We're almost at 500 subs, which for us boys is a massive deal. And there's always some Newcastle chat on this show weekly. So we do shows on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9:30 a.m. UK time. So would love to see some of you come back. We can't have Paul every week. He's a busy man, but we're so grateful he's come on. And he said kindly that he'll stick around and do the next part of the show with us. So let's talk dilly-dally ding-dong. Mr. Ranieri, your countryman, RJ, we saw him sacked ruthlessly by Watford. What did you think, RJ? Your thoughts? Chelsea sack managers left, right and centre. What did you think of this one?
The only difference between us and Watford is we got something to show for it. Poor old Watford. It's a real hornet's nest, isn't it? Anyone that steps in that hot seat, they're basically signing their own death warrant. I feel for any manager with any sort of credibility or aspiration going into a situation where they're pretty much set up for failure. I do empathise with the Watford board knowing that their situation is very perilous. They are in a very real relegation battle. But it's not like Football Manager where you can just keep swapping managers every 7 minutes and you're going to expect a different outcome. It's just, as we said, Paul, like, talk about players hitting the ground running. Imagine a manager coming in and hitting the ground running, have to reshape plans, understand the context, and now try to motivate a group that's feeling like their head's in the gutter to now have to go do that again with someone else, plus all the time it takes to find someone. Every week that passes and you have more instability, they don't have a good enough squad like a Chelsea where you've got an experienced bunch of players that can navigate through the bumpy waters. They've got players who need to be grouped in, a hand on the shoulder or rocket up the backside because they just don't have time to muck around. But Watford, if there was ever a safe bet of going down, they're pretty much $1 for me just because of how unstable that board is. And I do feel sorry for Ranieri. Yes, he wasn't doing the best of jobs there, but again, I reckon you could put a Guardiola, a Tuchel there. They might not have the exact same outcome, but they wouldn't be too far off just because of how incoherent and unstable that environment is.
Yeah, it's crazy to me. I just couldn't get my head around the fact that they sacked a manager with good credentials in their situation so quickly. Robbie, I've been checking on Twitter to see if this is 100% official. I don't think it's I haven't seen it 100% confirmed yet, but the talk of the town is that Roy Hodgson is going to take the position. What do you think of that, Robbie? To go from Ranieri to Hodgson, what was the point of sacking him?
Yeah, I don't know. That's mind-boggling, that one. Look, I guess until it's official, we'll be able to talk about it when it is, if it is official. Like I said, I've heard some rumors about that too today, but just it doesn't make sense to me. Like I said, Ranieri goes as well. Again, I think he could have done enough to possibly keep them up. Maybe he wouldn't, but that's just in their DNA at Watford as well. The family that owns the club, I think they said today they're up to their 14th manager in the past 3 or 4 seasons or 6 seasons or something like that. Whenever it looks like they're in trouble, that's just their thing. Okay, next one in. Let's see if we get a bounce. And they've done it before when there's been numerous in the season before. He's gone. I think he was only in the job for 2 months when there. So I don't feel sorry for him because he's probably laughing all the way to the bank at the moment. 2 months work, a couple mil in the bank, kids on holidays. He doesn't really worry, and he bounces between clubs like that all the time. So look, Roy Hodgson, crazy. You'd think you'd go for someone like a Sam Allardyce, a normal relegation.
Or an Ollie, Robbie, an Ollie, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know about an Ollie, but look, Sam Allardyce is the one. He's normally the one that like to put out the firefight in the relegation battles. But I don't know, Roy Hodgson for me, I think he's past it more than enough. And the last thing he needs is the stress of a relegation battle. So we'll see what happens.
Paul, Watford going down, right?
Yeah.
This isn't going to help.
I think a stat came up on my show that they've had 8 managers since 2018. I mean, you can't get anywhere with stats like that because you're just not giving them an opportunity. I don't think Ranieri is a great manager myself. I know he won the title with Leicester, but I think he fell in a bed of roses there because I think Nigel Pearson did all the hard work for that club. But that's by the by. I think Watford, they've got this sacking culture where, if you're a new manager going in there, you don't expect to last more than 4 to 5 months. If you have a good run of games and you get mid-table and then suddenly you lose 2 or 3, they sack you. And it's absolutely bizarre. The news about Roy Hodgson is that it looks like he's agreed a 6-month contract to go in there till the end of the season. But again, for me, that doesn't give their club any stability. They're just basically getting him in to try and survive. Then there's another new man going to come in the summer. And the whole persona of the club changes again. And how long does he have? It's ridiculous.
Payday for Hodgson, 6 months. Bonus for
you mean 6 games? Basically.
Yeah, well, that's it. He'll take whatever, mate. I'll sign on for them too to be sacked in a month with a payday.
It's absolutely crazy. I love this comment from Gooneretti. I've never seen so many Toons in the chat. Shano must be in his element. Well, look, I'm going to give Shano a quick shout out because he was the one that helped make this happen. This was his idea. He introduced us to Paul. And thanks to Shano, we've got this absolute champion on here tonight. So I hope Shano's enjoying it, knocking back a goal.
He's a good man. He's a good man. He's subscribed to me for a while. He's a good man.
Poor taste in football teams, but a good bloke, right? Hey, I've got to throw some back. You hammered my boys before, and I'm about to give them a hammering too because 0-0 with Burnley. Not quite what I was hoping for. I watched this match, and I'm going to be really quick. We were dreadful. I can't say it any more nicely than that. We had no end product. We looked uninspired. We looked chilled out. We'd just been knocked out of the FA Cup, and we've been knocked out of the FA Cup. We've been knocked out of the Carabao Cup. I was expecting the team to bounce back and fire. And we did the absolute opposite. The squad looked exhausted. The new players haven't come in. I've got Spurs fans in the live chat giving me grief. They're not much better, if they're better. And what's really ground my gears is that the squad as their reward this weekend, when everyone else is playing FA Cup matches, we're heading off to Dubai for a little training camp. I can't get my head around the culture at the club, and the rumours of a 2-year deal for Arteta, I just think it's poorly timed. For me, and I've said this multiple times, judge him at the end of the season. If he doesn't qualify for any European football, and I don't mean the Conference League, we're not Spurs. If he doesn't qualify for the Europa or the Champions League, thanks, but see you later. Go and hang out with Ranieri. We just look poor, and I don't see it improving unless we address this striker situation. We've frozen Aubameyang out of the squad. We're playing Eddie Nketiah as our impact sub, who's dreadful. It just doesn't work for him there, so we need to fix it. We've got a few little bonfires starting to pop up, and we have to put them out. So hopefully we do some business. It looks like Vlahovic is a no deal. Now they're talking about Luka Jovic, and Dominic Calvert-Lewin's name has popped back up. I just think it's a bit of a mess. Our recruitment, again, seems like it's going to let us down. So I don't know if any of you wanted to pipe in and take a shot at the Arsenal before we move on to United and Chelsea, but anyone want to take a shot?
I'm just still recovering from the Big Six comment. I think Arsenal fans are still living in the early,
isn't it, Paul? It's like that Photoshop.
I think they're still living in the early 2000s. You know that when I listen to Arsenal podcasts, it's always we should be in the top 6, we should be in the top 4, we should be in Champions League, and they need to come to just. And this is no disrespect, Scott. You just the Arsenal fans need to realise where their club is now. They are not a Big Six club at the minute, and they haven't been for a while. I think. They're under a rebuild, and the rebuild seems to be taking a lot longer than they want. But some of them, the way some of them feel entitled that they should be top 4, and that it's not the case. But I watched that game against Burnley, and I just don't think I struggle when I watch Arsenal to see what their actual game plan is, because it seems to change from game to game what their end goal is. 1 minute they'll play free-flowing football, the next they can't score a goal against Burnley. They're just a very, very strange side.
Put that bird in, put it in.
Paul, the Spurs fans in the chat are enjoying you, mate. So they're asking for you to come back every week.
I think I seen a stat today. It was like the Arsenal 2022 highlights. It was like 1 goal, 3 red cards, and 30 minutes worth of good play against City or something.
More red cards than goals this year.
There you go.
I was going to say more red cards than points, but I'll not say anything. I mean, I'm in no position to say anything. I mean, we're in the relegation zone, so,
Oh, dear. Well, look, we're copying it. Look, I hear your point about what a lot of Arsenal fans say. We have absolutely no divine right to be in that top 4. Chelsea and City are light years, not Chelsea. Liverpool and City are light years ahead of us at the moment.
I think Chelsea are as well.
I don't think light years, but they're ahead of us. We're not super close to them. So I know those 3 are certainly all probably divine right to be in there. United, for some reason, aren't clicking. Spurs, well, they love to bottle it. This is a chance to sneak into that top 4. But I'm not convinced. If we don't sign a striker and a centre mid, we won't make there's no way we'll make the top 4. And I have serious concerns we won't make the top 6. Because Spurs are on the up. United, if they start clicking, they've got a team on paper. But yeah, look, it's troubling times for the Arsenal. But look, let's move on. It's not troubling times for your team, Robbie, where VAR are concerned. Mate.
Put your glasses on, mate. Seriously. That's not even nothing to talk about.
Robbie, he's just still Burnley. Leave him alone. Okay?
Go on, Robbie. Talk to us about it.
Look, boys, I'm going to wrap this one up quickly. Thought the game was a very good game and probably a good performance from us. I think we need to work a little bit more on our, creating from creating chances to converting chances, because we just, again, not putting enough goals in, and obviously we had to wait for a 93rd minute winner, which I thought was, as a United fan, scoring a Fergie time winner at the Stretford end, that's just pure euphoria. That's why we love football. I said it last week. why we love football. That's the emotions of football right there. And to beat West Ham, which, West Ham were on top of us, we had the game in hand, and they're a direct top 4 rival this year. So that's 3 massive points for us. Credit to Ralf, the last 10 minutes, we put Rashford, Martial, and Cavani on. We went to a 4-2-4. We went all guns ho, and it paid off. We got the points. We moved for now into the top 4. Obviously, there's the whole thing with Spurs having games in their hands, but that's a big win at home for us, because we've been chalk and cheese. One minute we can lose at home, 1 minute we draw at home, 1 minute we win at home. So to beat a direct rival for top 4 at home, that was 3 massive points for us going into the break.
RJ and Paul, feel free to chuck your views in. Did you think that was a case of VAR smiling upon Man United? Well,
it's very unusual for VAR to smile on Man United, isn't it? I mean, that never happens. I mean, goodness gracious me. I mean, how was that not offside? Somebody please needs to tell me.
Taking the piss, you guys. You know me.
It was offside.
No way. This is the whole point why we had the new last season. That was the rules changed. If that was last season, offside. But
no,
when
Callum Wilson was given offside against Aston Villa earlier in the season. They made Callum Wilson's foot look like 21 foot long, so they give him offside. But if that was Cavani, oh no, we'll shrink his foot, we'll shrink his hand and make sure that he's onside when the line's drawn. It's the same with bloody Liverpool.
There's a good foot onside, and I said his arm was offside. So if that was last year, yes, I would say hands up, that's offside. But no wonder why. They didn't have to even check it. That's a clear onside and a clear goal. Everyone was just salty. There's no way I'll take that away.
RJ, Paul's fired up. Robbie's fired up.
Look,
I'm having
to be honest, it's pretty bad defending. I actually thought touch and go, but I can understand why they gave it, mate. Like, I've been burnt by Ben Chilwell's won an FA Cup final. Paul's been burnt before with Callum Wilson. We've all had it. The only thing we want again, the C word, we all know what we're talking about, consistency. That's all we want. If you're giving him a goal, give everyone else in the same situation. But it's an imperfect science. We'll never get it perfect not because people are operating it, because you can never 100% know when the ball has left the foot at the same still frame as when the person's done it. So it's never going to be perfect. I just hope we get a little bit of benefit of doubt for the attacking team all the time. Then if that's going to be the case.
That's what I'd like to see as well, yeah. I'd like to see the benefit of the doubt go to the attackers, which it does to Man United, to be fair, all the time. But with regards to sort of the offside rule, I think is crazy. Go back to the old days. If you're offside, put your flag up and get on with it. Instead of waiting until the ball's in the net. Yes, sometimes it'll be given as a goal. But, it's ridiculous. And I don't think VAR is the problem. And I did a video on this yesterday. I don't think VAR is the problem. I think it's the referees who just simply aren't good enough. The standard of refereeing this season has been absolutely atrocious.
Agree.
It's hard to say. Michael Oliver's the one referee I think that I do like in the Premier League. But he does make mistakes as well, like we all will. But the rest of them, my God. And don't get me started on Mike Dean.
Just quickly, I wanted to quickly cover these like controversial decisions. Obviously, you guys were in the Cavani, which I don't think was controversial at all. The push in the Tottenham game. RJ, look, you're a balanced person. Was that Kane? For me, that should have been a goal for Kane. I thought that was very, very soft in the Premier League. That was one of them. You give me your thoughts on that. And the other one was that penalty for Jota in the Liverpool game. Mate, I seen Alan Shearer. He absolutely lost it on this, and I agree with him. That is nowhere, not a penalty any day of the week. For VAR to check that and then to give it, I think that's exactly what he said. The footballing refereeing is terrible.
I think Silva used his experience, didn't he? I mean, he felt the hand on his back. He went down. I mean, Silva was a very experienced footballer. But you're right, it wasn't a foul. And VAR should have looked at that and said, no, that's not a push in a million years. Why was it not given as a goal? It was clearly a goal. He wasn't offside, never in a million years. But the Liverpool one, you slow that down and you look, Jota loses the ball.
He makes a touch. It's going out for a goal kick.
It's going out.
And then he makes contact and he gets the penalty.
But he looks at the goalkeeper first. He actually looks to see where the goalkeeper is and thinks, oh, the keeper's there. I think I'll bump into him and see if I can get anything. How that was given as a penalty, I will never know. And people wonder why we have a go at Jurgen Klopp. I mean, the guy is just... Honestly, I mean, that was farcical. But there you go. I mean, that's, where is the consistency? You look a few weeks back to when we played Man City. the Edison comes rushing out and completely cleans Fraser out, and it doesn't even get VAR'd. I mean, it's shambolic.
I have to admit that Diogo Jota call was right up there with some of the worst I've seen given.
That should have been a yellow card nearly for Jota, in my opinion. That's how
definitely.
Yeah, simulation.
It wasn't simulation, though, because there was contact, but his touch had sent the ball like 15 metres ahead.
But Scott, there was only contact because Jota ran into the goalkeeper deliberately.
Exactly.
The goalkeeper didn't run into him. He would have missed Jota had that play continued through.
It's a little bit like the Arsenal one against Edison, where it was a case of Erdegaard, Edison, who was right, who was wrong, but there was no way he was getting control of that ball back. RJ, and I have to put this comment to you, Paul, before we go to RJ. Tom from the United podcast is saying, which United is talking about Man United now? I think he's alluding to your earlier comment that Manchester United always talk about you guys. Giving a little bit back, but Paul's not impressed. I can see it in his eyes.
Well, no, look.
Let's move on to RJ.
Yeah.
RJ, what did you think?
Yeah, no, I brought up two examples. I agree on the Jota one. Very, very soft. Obviously, the Silva one was soft, but we're not playing the game in still. You're running at pace. Why is Kane's arm up if he didn't need to be? He obviously got an advantage from putting his arm up. Why put your arm up? If the ball... And I heard Townsend commenting on this, Andy, sorry. And he said he's obviously ex-Chelsea, didn't want to come across bias, never a penalty. Never a foul. He's used all his experience, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, of course he does, but they're running again at full speed. He's put his arm up. He's gotten a benefit from it. And, of course, you're going to slide forward. It's called inertia. It's basic science. You don't just stop and pivot on the spot when you stop at full speed and get touched. It was a very soft touch, agreed, but Kane should have used his experience, waited for the ball, not used his hands, and all of a sudden it's a goal. But the other controversial decision no one spoke about, how did Doherty not get sent off? He studs down on sub. Come off it. And if I hear that it was reckless or accidental, it's what's it called? Calf high, late. And you if you watch it live, Doherty, his face was guilty straight away. As soon as they looked at him, he had his head down and he was thinking, I'm gone. How VAR looked at that and said,
can I ask a question there, right, RJ? If that was John Joe Shelvey, do you think he would have been sent off, given John Joe's reputation? If that was Shelvey making that challenge, as high as it was,
would he
have been sent off?
Probably, mate. Probably. Yeah. All I know is, again, it's one of those situations where why don't they want to make the big call? Because it might influence the balance of that game. And they say not even a yellow. Mate,
I think it's a tongue-in-cheek,
mate. Mate, it's an absolute G up, honestly.
Paul, you've fired up the boys tonight. I love it. Everyone's fired up. I'm just stirring the pot here and enjoying it. But
that's what football's about, though, debate.
It's a football thing, and that's the name of this channel. As we get to the hour and 8-minute mark, thank you to everyone in the live chat. You are absolutely crushing it tonight. We're having a blast here. If you're new to the channel, or if you haven't already, please hit that like button. Please subscribe. We are here every Tuesday and Thursday, 9:30 a.m. UK time, 8:30 p.m. down under. Want to say hello to our friends from the Football Capital, some excellent content creators. Check out their YouTube channel as well. And just, again, big thank you to everyone in the live chat. You guys are crushing it. Graham agrees that Shelvey would have seen red. Master Yoda agrees. I agree that Granit Xhaka would have seen red. I agree that John Joe would have seen red. It's about reputation. But let's quickly...
It's just a reckless tackle, Scott. And the fact the system, to me, the fact that even VAR looked at it and couldn't arrive at that, like, come on. If it was my player, I'd want him sent off straight away. Yeah. I don't like those. That could have really... And there was only, not just a side plot, 23-year-old, it's on his birthday, that could have been a leg breaker all of a sudden. You know what I mean? That's stuff that I should cut that rubbish out. Those kinds of challenges.
It's like a circus in here tonight. RJ, did you want to unpack anything else from that? We've obviously talked the controversy. Yeah. The Spurs fans in the chat have been a little bit too confident and cheery for my liking. Just put them back in their place, RJ. Tell them how awful they were. Quickly,
They
though.
were 4 games, 4 wins, no goals conceded. 2-0, 1-0, 0-all, 2-0. Like, only if we played them 38 times a year, we would have got 114 points and never conceded. So that's how confident I am. We were just worlds apart, mate. They did have a go at the start. I mean, after our initial storm, Kane, to his credit, put one away via a foul. But I liked when Thiago scored without having to foul a player in the process, tongue-in-cheek there. But Ziyech's goal,
Oh wow.
wow.
Oh.
Yeah.
That's a winning kind of goal. And to me, we've had that one. We've had Kovacic's volley against Liverpool. One of them are going to win goal of the month for me, although there are some good contenders. But overall, very pleased with that display. One of our better performances, and Thomas Tuchel got it right with that back four.
Yeah, look, boys, there have been some really big results, and we've gone into it a little bit. Paul, last match we're going to talk about, Newcastle's match. Obviously, big 3 points for you guys. Just give us your thoughts quickly on that one.
Yeah, I think it was a really good game. I mean, it was end to end. I think Leeds will be disappointed because the first sort of 15, 20 minutes, second half, they controlled the game, and I think they had a striker on the pitch. Maybe they would have scored a couple of goals, but to be honest, we could have scored 4. They could have scored 4. At the end of the day, we held out. I mean, the big thing for us was it was a clean sheet away from home as well, and considering we were expecting to get thumped, given Leeds had beaten West Ham the week before. Just a really, really good game of football between two sides who actually went for it. Normally, we'd shut up shop if we go a goal ahead, but we didn't. We kept on at it. So it was a great game. I really enjoyed it, and obviously the result was just what we needed.
Yeah, and credit to you guys for that result. Like we were saying when we were doing the preview, like to go to Ellen Road and get that result, 3 points in the situation you guys in, like, I have to applaud that because that is a massive result, So well done, because I think Ellen Road would have been very difficult away to get a result like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was tight, and they were huge points. For those who are interested and who follow the show regularly, you would know that we have a bit of a tipping competition between us boys. It's blown out a little bit, but we have had a lead change. RJ is currently leading with 126 points. Robbie, 125 points. And I'm on 187.
108.
Top 6, Paul. Top 6, mate.
Yeah.
I'm a top 6 tipster and a top 6 supporter. Boys, it's been an absolute blast. Paul, we like to end the show with some quick fire questions.
Okay.
Just a quick answer. You don't need to justify it too far. Yep. And then we are going to get you, once we're done with that, just to quickly tell everyone about your channel. And then we're going to say good night, and you can say good morning. Get out of those PJs, hey?
I've spent a lot of money on this T-shirt, by the way. It's going in the bin after this show.
It was one of your own. It was one of your Newcastle.
I know it was, and I'll be having words with him. Don't worry, I know who it was.
Oh dear. All right, let's get these quick fires done. I've got one first. I went away, spent a bit of time in the bush celebrating my niece and nephew's birthday, and it got me thinking about cake. I know Emad loves the cuisine questions. What is your ideal birthday cake, boys? Your flavour cake, what you're picking. RJ, you can go first.
Oh, geez. I put my thinking face on, mate. No, look, I'll be very simple, very quick. Got to lock in a nice plain ricotta cake for me. I don't know. Big ricotta fan here.
And Telly's an Italian ricotta cake there. Love it. Robbie, what about you?
Look, if I have to say it's just cake, I'm a fan of orange and poppy seed cake, but because it's my favorite, I'm a big panna cotta fan. I'll get my missus to actually make me a panna cotta cake on my birthday. So, yeah, that's my favorite.
All right. Look, me, I'm a caramel mud cake, man. Don't mind my caramel mud cake. What about you, Paul?
Caramel mud cake, probably, yeah. I really like anything that involves caramel. You can count me in.
Yeah, sounds good.
Oh, well, Emad always wants a food quick fire, and he's not impressed with mine. No, I think you're just a sook, Emad, to be honest. You make your YouTube debut and you start sooking about the quick fires. Jack, Jock, sorry you've noticed. The best thing about the chats, we have quality banter here all the time. Martin has a good shout. Some humble pie after tonight. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
Love it. Love
He's
it.
on
Right.
fire tonight.
Mate, it's Marty's anniversary today, and he's here with the It's a Football Thing crew.
I hope you didn't bottle it, Marty. Very nice.
All right, Robbie, did you have a quick fire for us?
Yeah, look, boys, I'll just do all mine. Tomorrow down under, it's Australia Day, so I went with a bit of an Aussie theme. So I'll just give you 4 quick fire questions, 1 answer words, all right, boys? Thongs or slides?
Thongs.
Slides.
Thongs.
I'm a slides. Lamb or sausages?
Oh, lamb.
Lamb.
Man.
Yeah, I'll go the lamb as well. Beach or pools?
Pools.
Pools.
Air conditioning.
Robbie, what about you?
Look, I love the beach, but I hate sand, if that makes sense. So I'll just pick beach for this one. And last one, boys, meat pie or sausage roll?
Meat pie.
Bizzo, sausage roll. Come on.
Meat pie.
Yeah, I'll go to pie as well. Can't beat a good pie.
Love it.
Good job.
RJ, you got one?
Yeah, sure. So I've been watching on Netflix lately, Money Heist. Robbie's been talking it up, so I've been, taking some advice. Good show. Not sure if you guys have seen it, but my question is, what's a crime show that you really like that you'd recommend for anybody?
I'm happy to go first. I have just restarted watching, and it's where I'm going after this stream. One of our old favourites, RJ, 24.
24. I knew you were going to say it.
I'm back on 24
Jack
now.
Bauer. What a legend.
Jack Bauer. What about you?
So
Robbie?
I don't watch crime shows, so I got nothing. Honestly, I do not watch them.
Well, you watch Manchester United play each week, mate. They
They
all the
steal
time.
points every week.
Wow.
Salty as he's so salty. Let me get Salt Bay, mate.
They steal points every bloody week. Paul, you got one for us?
Homeland.
Oh, good show.
Good one.
I went a bit off the ball a little bit, I noticed, but it was a
Yeah,
good show.
towards the end it did, but I think the first few seasons were superb. Definitely Homeland.
All right. It has been a cracking show, live chat pumping. Paul, you've been amazing. I have put your Twitter information and your YouTube link in the description. Not that Paul needs our help. His channel is doing a madness at the moment, over 8K subs. But to our Aussie brothers who are here and potentially sisters, check his out and click subscribe as well. It doesn't cost us anything. And to the people creating content, it means a world of difference. And if you're new here, please click subscribe and help us. We would love to hit 500 subs over here. And we've had some great help from some of your listeners tonight. So we're really grateful. But Paul, just quickly to tell us about your channel, if you've got anything coming up before we say farewell.
Yeah, I do a few scheduled shows, which on a Tuesday night we do a fan forum, and lately it's been sort of daily transfer shows, but I tend to do daily Newcastle United news because, well, let's face it, there isn't a day goes by where there isn't anything to talk about at that club. Sometimes do watch-alongs at the games I can't get to, previews, reviews, and then we tend to just talk football. If there's nothing going on, maybe a few quizzes coming up and things like that. So plenty on there on a daily basis, because I don't know about you guys, but I find people watch YouTube more than mainstream TV these days. So you have to keep the content coming.
Well, mate, with content like yours that you were putting out this morning, there's no question as to why they're doing that. So, again, a massive kudos to you for making the time to come and join us.
It's been a pleasure, guys.
Early in the morning, but hopefully we can link up somewhere along the line in the future, because we'd love to have you again. And
well, I was just going to say, Scott, you guys would love you guys to come onto my show. I know that's an early morning for you guys, but if you could do that one day, that would be great. Even if it has to be a weekend, if you guys are busy on the morning, but definitely get you guys across, and I'll certainly come back on and in the summer and celebrate with Rob Newcastle staying up and signing all the top name world class players. And
as long as we don't call the stream, Paul, we don't want to be misleading. We can't call it the top 6 chat. That's all.
That's very true. Yeah. We'll just call it a football show.
I was
you
going
do.
to say, Paul, look, I've had a ball. I've loved the banter. I've loved having you on. And like I said, I'd love to have you back because, I wouldn't
Listen,
mind
that's
having
what
a bit
it's
of
all about, Rob. You know what I mean? But I'm not one of these football fans who'll go around hating on people for supporting different clubs. I don't understand that, and I never will. All these people who get into fights over football, I never ever will understand that. And for me, it's banter, and it always will be banter. You can joke on, and as long as you don't cross a line, that's fine. You can have your banter and take the mickey, but it doesn't mean you all can't be mates at the end of the day. And that's what football's all about for me: meeting new people, meeting new friends, which I have over social media, certainly during lockdown, etc. It's been incredible, and now sort of meeting you guys has been an absolute pleasure as well. And hopefully, do some more shows with you in the future, without a doubt.
100%. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the championship next year.
Oh, he's all, you know what it is. The man, they've always got to get the last kick, haven't they?
Fergie
honestly.
time. It's called Fergie time.
Paul, don't worry about it, mate.
I'll speak to you about the European Conference League that you're in next year.
Stealing points, low blows. These Man United fans don't know.
Yeah, they're all the same. They never
Rob
change.
was not this chirpy a couple of weeks ago. It's changed. Amazing what a 97th minute winner can do. But boys, we at It's a Football Thing are back on Thursday at the same time, 8:30 p.m. down under, 9:30 a.m. in the UK. Probably just be a bit of a transfer show, talking transfers, some quick fires. Would love to see you back and check out Paul's channel. Robbie, any closing words, mate?
No, once again, boys. Look, thanks again for you, Paul. The live chat's been banging. I've enjoyed the show myself tonight. So thank you to everyone. Big thank you to Paul again from Toon Review.
RJ.
Been a pleasure. Look forward to seeing you next time.
Okay,
Definitely.
on behalf of John Joe Shelby, myself, Rob and Paul, take care, enjoy your football, and we'll see you soon. Hopefully,
Happy Australia Day for tomorrow, guys.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Take care, guys.